to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering Stage 3 of Igloo 2022 After Dark. Now at this point, this is my second stage of the night, and the light conditions are now at the point where my nods can be used. But before we get into that, let me give you a description of what the stage is supposed to be. You're on a very wide bay, but it's a shallow bay, so you're making lateral shots to get about 50-meter shots. You had two start boxes, one on the left, one on the right. It was shooter's choice which one they wanted to start with. I chose to go with the one on the left, and so did most shooters, because right next to the start box was a VTAC barricade you could rest on for stability. And the target you were engaging was a hostage target, so you hit it on one side, flipped it to the other side, next hit, flipped it back. That's two. Then you had three small hanging targets. They're about 4-inch diamonds, about yay big, or yay big-ish. And then you had to just knock them down, and a whole lot tougher than it sounds. After you did that engagement, you dashed over to the other side of the bay where there was another box, and there was a chair there you could use for stability, and you had the same array of targets that you were firing on 50 meters across the bay. Then you ditched your rifle, and then you went up to your first set of barricades, and there were 4 pistol targets, and you had 3 different points you could engage from. And you dashed across the bay to another set of barricades, screen walls actually, and they had 4 knockdown targets there. And then finally you ran up to the center of the bay at the berm, and right behind 2 barrels was a pair of crowd pleasers. Quick, put the shots into them, and the stage was over. Let's go ahead and take a look at my run.
Hi. I rebuilt that up over the ledge because my previous didn't have any. Clear? Right.
What do you think about that? Hey, fire one each of the little ones. Got hit.
Okay, before we get into my performance there on that stage, let's go over a few things about my mindset here. Alright, my night vision experience is in 80s, early 90s things in the military. So very used to PVS 7s or Anvis 6s when I was in helicopters. So used to using PVS 7s and some type of PEC as an aiming device. Did not do that here, as you noticed. Recently, in the last year, I've acquired PVS 14s, and I'm getting more used to using those. And one of the things you can do with the 14s that you cannot do here with the 7s is passive aiming. And so I was giving passive aiming a try here, and to make sure I couldn't fall back on any old crutches, I did not bring my emitter on this rifle. I didn't even attach a white light to it. I was forcing myself to go passive. And I had the PVS 14 paired up with an EOTech EXPS 3 on my rifle, which of course has night vision compatible settings. And so I went passive aiming this stage, and for the most part it sort of worked. The targets were so small, besides the hostage flipper, the knockdown targets were so small that the dot in the middle of the EOTech reticle was actually covering up the target completely, so I was having a little bit of slow engagement time from the VTAC. And then over on the second shooting position, the angle was so weird with the PVS-14 helmet mounted on trying to get lined up behind the EOTech that you actually see at one point I'm grabbing it and kind of like forcing my head into the right position. And that contributed a lot to me parring out on this stage, simply because I just wasted so much time getting the hits. And I know for a fact on the second array I missed 2 out of the 3, but I knew I had to get moving on. The second part of the stage, this time with my pistol, I remembered to activate the light and keep it activated, and I was able to illuminate and get pretty decent hits on the targets. The conditions on the ground now are below freezing, so ice is starting to form where there had been mud or slick grass before. So footing is starting to be a little bit of an issue, not much of it. Clearing the one array, dashed to the second array, and just parred out before getting the last targets and getting over to the crowd pleasers. This was a really cool stage. It required a lot of physical activity and a lot of distances to be covered, so you needed to be accurate to keep your time down, so you had time to negotiate the whole bay. Now my friend Scott, he got through this whole thing with plenty of time to spare, so let's take a look at his run and see how it should have been done.
Nicely done, sir.
Okay, so Scott had a really solid run on this. The next morning came and we're ready to shoot this stage. Again, this is stage 3, but it was our second stage. And one thing that tripped up a lot of shooters, the way the sun was coming up, the angle of the light and everything, over by the barricade for the pistols on the far right side, there was still a lot of ice on the ground. And a lot of guys dashed from ditching their rifle over there and took a tumble. Luckily, nobody had an AD. Luckily, everybody controlled their pistol and nobody had to be DQ'd, which was always awesome because you never want to see that happen. But it made for some funky footing and you had to be extra careful because you had slippery ice, you had slippery mud, so you had to find a fine balance between speed to get to your next shooting position, but not getting there so fast that you tumble or slip or do anything like that, which creates a dangerous situation.
Stand by.
Up like 2 hours early. Drink coffee. But no.
Okay, so obviously my daylight run, a whole lot better than my nighttime run. Both were excellent, both were fun. This match is proving to be a great time, and we hope you tune in tomorrow for Stage 4.